Here I would like to explain about Smslefa, an alternative synergistic multi-layer analysis of students' learning engagement in EFL context. So first of all, let me explain about engagement first. According to Kah, engagement is considered to represent the time and effort students devote to activities that are empirically linked to desired outcomes of college and what institutions do to induce students to participate in these activities. Then, SLE has been studied in different ways and perspectives. For example, from the research Trawler, because Trawler managed to map the typologies of engagement, the responsibilities, the target, purpose, and parties involved, effects, influencing factors, as well as the strategies for the development of engagement. There are a lot of research that relevant to this research, but Trawler is more relevant to this research because he used typologies. Next, method and data analysis. The participants is Indonesian senior high school teacher and 24 students. This research using classroom discourse as recorded in the teaching learning process and recording were then analyzed using Smslefa. Smslefa was developed based on systemic functional linguistic metafunction, like language metafunction. Smslefa consists of 3 layers. The first one is learning interactions, then learning behavior, and learning text, or the language used in the classroom teaching. Next is findings. First, interactions patterns. Let's take a look at these two examples. These two examples is pedagogically interesting. The fact that the number of K1 initiated is dominant, larger than the K1 and K2 oriented exchange. This is consistent with the role of the lessons as the one that lays the foundation of students' ability in understanding and making the best use of news items in their daily communication. So, the teacher was consistently doing his best in explaining the way students were expected to develop their ability in talking about news that they hear or watch in their daily life. The next one is learning behavior. Let's take a look on this example. In this exchange, the teacher asked the students to do the conversation because the teachers want the students to get the correct and appropriate skills in communicating the ideas contained in the segment. Last, The C process were devoted to build the factual, conceptual, and procedural as well as metacognitive knowledge of talking about news item. In this case, about the landslide in Bali. Then let's take a look at example 7. In this example, the teacher was trying to build the vocabulary in the word buried C1 required to understand and develop talks on landslide. Discussion. The teacher successfully combined this with the S1 initiated exchange to engage students in the process of developing high standards of communicative skill. He also managed to make the best use of other patterns to support this. He used DK1 initiated exchange to engage students in watching and understanding the model. S1 initiated to present the model and A-oriented exchange to manage the class. The interaction developed brings about conducive conditions for the development of processes required to establish the skills target at this stage. Acquiring the model of talking about news item. The dominance of C1 is consistent with the nature of modeling. However, the dominance of P2 is rather surprising. P1 is more consistent with this stage. The fact that the class is composed of the best students in the school may be accounted for this phenomenon. Hence, it is understandable if T is the most frequently produced LT in the lessons. The way the teacher interwove all patterns, interaction, including the absence of S2 initiated exchange signify the primacy of teacher's role as students' learning manager in engaging students in classroom activities. So that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.